Hey up guys, leedsladlovescoins here. Welcome back to the channel. Right, so with another video on grading for beginners, and this is the third and last video. What we're looking at today is currency strikes. So as opposed to the last video where we were looking at proof strikes, I had a whole array of graded coins. I'm really looking at circulated coins here. So, and primarily, not primarily, almost exclusively, British coins. So whereas the last video was aimed to a high degree towards my American market, this is aimed primarily at my British market, but also I've got a lot of subscribers who collect British coins. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the grading of circulated coins. Now, unlike proof coins, grading of circulated coins is perceived to be much easier. And the reason behind that is because whereas in proof coins, especially on the surface preservation, it's more technical grading. With circulated coins, we're looking more at the strike, the luster, and the eye appeal. So the grade specifies specific amounts of wear for each type of grade, which should technically make it easier. So what are we really looking at? Before we start viewing examples, I'm just going to explain. So like the strike, in proof coins, the strike really isn't an issue because we've already discussed this. They're specially prepared, highly polished dies. The planchets are struck several times under high power, and each coin is handled separately. With circulated coins, essentially the preparation of the dies isn't as thorough. The coins are struck once, and then they will fall into a hopper full of other coins because they mint millions and millions of them. So they pick up scuffs, scratches, bag marks from falling into the hopper. And all of this is taken into account when the third-party grading services look at your coins for grading. They're looking to discern bag marks. So marks on the surface of the coin that have been generated through the minting process, as opposed to what we call post-mint damage. And that are coins that have received damage from being out there in circulation. I hope that makes sense. So when we're looking at circulated coins, there's really only two, apart from the surface preservation, which is sacrosanct. The two main areas are wear, and eye appeal. Now, when it comes to the wear of the coin, this represents approximately 85% of the grade. 85% of the grade. Remember, we were talking about surface preservation on proof coins representing, what was it, about 95% of the grade? Wear represents 85% of the grade. And eye appeal, which is subjective, represents approximately 15% of the grade. Now, if you look at them two statistics, eye appeal is never going to massively affect the grade of your coins. It will raise it up ever so slightly, but it won't make a massive difference. And when I say move it up ever so slightly. So like if we're looking at the Sheldon scale, yeah, and an extra fine coin, so extra fine 40, extra fine 45, if it's got good appeal and the coin is technically an extra fine 40, it will probably give you an extra fine 45. It will not give you about uncirculated. At least that is my opinion. Anyway, so remember the split, where 85% high appeal, approximately 15%. Now, the grading services will always take into account the coin's age, the characteristics of the coin, the die technology, and also plant chip production. A plant chip is a blank one of these before it's been struck. That's for the uninitiated. Remember, this is absolutely for beginners. Right, so we've looked at those two areas, and let's have a look at some strike characteristics prevalent to circulation coins. So in bronze and copper coinage, we've got 3 strike designations. We've got brown. We have a look here. We don't need to zoom in per se, but this is where the patina of the coin has completely lost all luster and surface reflectivity through age and through handling. Yeah, and this is what we call a brown designation. So there's no original mint luster and redness of the early dice stage. Brown designation. BN is the least desirable, if you would. And then the next designation is RB, red-brown. And this is a mixture of the red luster of the early die stage and brown. And you can see where the coin is losing its early die stage coin luster. And then we have red, which is early die stage, still retains its original patina. And this is the, this is the most desirable die stage for coin collectors or advanced coin collectors. So the strike designations are red, red-brown, and brown. In my opinion, what you want to be looking at is red. There we go. Then for the cupro nickel or the silver coinage, the strikeage, the strike that we're looking at is mint state, where we've got no discernible wear whatsoever. And it's in its original early die stage. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful coin. Then the other strike we have for currency strike or circulated coinage is proof-like. In America, they also have deep mirror proof-like, so dimple grades. Now, technically, they're not proof coins, so they are currency strikes, but they're not circulated. These proof-like coins were specially minted, specially prepared dies for collectors and dignitaries. So mint state, proof-like, deep mirror proof-like. So they're the strike characteristics, if you would, that graders look at. I hope I haven't lost you. So I'm just going to quickly describe, and then we'll look at some coins. The grading scale, or should I say the Sheldon scale against the UK grading standards, or the UK grading scale. So in the UK, we call a perfect coin. I hate using the term perfect because there's no such thing as a perfect coin. Perfection absolutely does not exist. There are coins that are struck by the mint, but there's no such thing as perfection. But the grading standards do designate, in Britain, we call it FDC. It's a term, FDC, that stands for fleur de coin. That's the flower of coins, the perfection. And transferring fleur de coin to the Sheldon scale, we're talking between 68 and 70 on the Sheldon scale. Now, remember, we spoke last week, or I told you last week about modern coins. So those coins, as far as British coins are concerned, from post-decimal days forward to, or in American standards, pre-1964 forward, what we call modern coinage. Die preparation absolutely took massive leaps forward in the mid-70s to 80s. So when you're grading a coin, a modern coin, especially proof, but this also relates to mint state, you can expect grades from between 68, that's MS or PF, mint state or proof, yeah, 68 to 70. Those are the grading standards, and that equates back to fleur de coin. So 68 to 70. Then we'll move back for the Sheldon scale. We've got proof or MS 66, 67. On the British coinage, it's AFDC, so about fleur de coin. Yeah. My favourite grade, I don't know why, but it is MS65. And MS65, in British parlance, we call that brilliant uncirculated. I also call the Sheldon scale 65 brilliant uncirculated. Moving back, mint state 63, 64, we're talking uncirculated. So uncirculated, mint state 63, 64. British grading standards, again, about uncirculated. In America, we call these sliders. It's a scale that runs from about uncirculated 53 up to MS61, 62, a slider. It's not quite mint state, but it's not a low. So moving into XF, that's the American XF. I'm not really interested in too much below about uncirculated 53. Yeah, so a slider. We can go a lot deeper, but this particular video isn't designed to go deep into grading. It's just to give you a basic understanding. So let's have a look at some British coinage and what really we should be looking for. So obviously, mint state, here we've got a mint state 63, and in that particular grade, you'll have to excuse me here, in mint state 63, what we can be looking at is obviously full luster. Surface preservation is absolutely a must. We can see that there's no massive scuffs, dings, bag marks on this particular coin. So the surface preservation, the luster is absolutely fine. What we would be looking at mint state 63 would be a slightly weak strike with really moderate. Now, this is the technical grade, yeah, with moderate abrasions and hairlines of various sizes. That's regardless of whether it's proof or whether it's mint state. Now, hairlines, if it's proof, they stand out. Obviously, we can see that because of the mirror-like surfaces. But on mint state coins, so we can call them circulated grades or currency strikes, surface abrasions, hairlines, very hard to discern. And we've been through this before, this mint state 63. I'm staggered absolutely that it got mint state 63, because that is better than a mint state 63. But there we go, mint state. And then the next one, and it's easy, I'm going to zoom in here. We'd technically classify this as an extra fine. That is in British terminology, extra fine. Extra fine in American terminology would be about uncirculated to uncirculated, so low mint state. Now, technically, this is extra fine British balance. What you want to be looking for on British coins is, can you see up here the orb below the cross and the fleur-de-lis? These are the high points. And regardless of whether it's UK coinage or American coinage, you always want to be looking and searching for the high points. On this particular coin, these are the high points. So the orb under the cross and the fleur-de-lis, you can see the ever so slight wear there. Also, looking here across the body of the unicorn, can you see the chain? You want to be looking for wear on that particular coin. If you've got wear there, wear there. If you've got wear on the chain, if you have wear, excessive wear on the orb and the fleur-de-lis, then you're going to drop down a grade. Also look for like the lion's head. This is a good strike. It's a full strike, so you can see the face of the lions. The high point on the lion, the British lion, is the nose. See the nose and the crown. Look for wear there. So this technically, it's still got underlying mint luster. And if we look at the obverse, the hairline's fantastic. Yeah, so hairline, great detail. There are some marks on the cheek. This is nothing I'd get graded, but technically this is extra fine. If we have a look here, we'd call this fine. You can see down, if you look on the chain, you can see, can you see the wear there starting, where the chain crosses the body? On the lion's faces, on the nose, and more especially on the orb and the fleur-de-lis, you can see the wear. This is a fine. So they're things to look out for. I'm going to go to one of my, I love the florin. Here's an absolute beauty. So this is uncirculated. This is mint state, 1928. And what you want to be looking for here is, can you see the, this is called a cruciform shield design. And in the center, can you see the G? The G for George. Yeah, let's put it where it is. So there's the G. You want to be looking for wear on the G because that is one of the high points. Also, again, on the scepters, the crown, you're going to be looking at the, you'll need a loop for this, but you want to be looking for wear, again, on the orb and also the fleur-de-lis on the crown. And just check out the harp. Beautiful coin. So high points. This is uncirculated. Good surface preservation and hairline details. The high points run down here on the obverse. So the hairline down over the cheeks. You can see great designing detail in the beard. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful coin. So that's uncirculated. You can see ever so slight wear. This is a slightly different cruciform design, but it's still a cruciform design. You can see wear up here. See on the lion's heads? It could potentially be a weak strike, but I'll leave that up to the experts. So this, in my opinion, is extra fine. Extra fine, about uncirculated. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful coin. Here's another florin. Slightly, this is the rose design. So we've got the rose and thistle. What you want to be looking on this design, apart from the crown, which we've discussed, can you see in the center of the rose? It's got a technical name, but I forget it. Anyway, you can see how it's worn. Can you see the wear there? That's the high point, and that's where you're going to get the wear. That's what you want to be looking out for. On uncirculated items, coins, florins, with this design, they will be absolutely sharp and beautiful. Here's a couple of designs that I really love. So sixpence, this is uncirculated. And again, it's quite easily on English coinage, or it's quite easy on English coinage to, once you understand where the high points are, so the crown, on all English coinage, the orb, the fleur-de-lis, that's where you're going to get the wear. That's absolutely the high point of the coin. And then you're looking for the details, the hair details, and surface preservation, luster, etc. So this one here, in my opinion, about extra fine. Here's the sixpence, the acorn design. Now, for all of you, again, uninitiated, to discern between a threepence and a sixpence with the acorn design, if it's sixpence, it's got 6 acorns. If it's threepence, it's got 3 acorns. And what you absolutely want to be looking at is the acorns. Can you see the husk of the acorn? And the little nubs in there, they want to be full strike and sharp, not worn. That's what you want to be looking for. If you see wear there, it's going to bring the coin down. Again, great hairline details. Look at the moustache and the beard. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful coin. Right, couple more and then we'll wrap up. So here's a cracking coin. Technically not a circulated coin, it's more a commemorative. But just like in American coinage, some of the early proofs went into circulation because they had good buying power. Well, it's the same with the crowns. A lot of these, what we call rocking horse crowns, which weren't for circulation, did go into circulation. They were worth 5 shillings, yeah? So people weren't going to throw that away. What you want to be looking on here for is, have a look at the tail, and can you see the tail detail? You want to be looking for wear on there, and also the shield. Now the shield is convex, so it's rounded, and that is the high point. That's where you'll get the wear first. So again, technically, this coin is extra fine. You've got good dragon details, yeah. It's been in circulation, light circulation this, but good extra fine detail. Again, looking for the high points. You don't want any scratches, scuffs, dings on the cheek, the brows, any area where your eyesight is drawn to it, because that will absolutely smash the grade. So one more set of coins just to show you, and then we'll move on. So here we've got an 1893 Victoria crown. Now this coin here, in British terms, is extra fine, my opinion, but technically it absolutely is. So the technical specifications to look for on crowns is, can you see the strap across the chest of George on the horse here? That needs to be discernible. You need full detail there to be able to see it. If that isn't there, then you will not get extra fine. Also, can you see the fingers on the hand of George on both sides there? They need to be distinguishable. You need to be able to see the fingers. If you can't see the fingers, you're not going to get extra fine condition. About uncirculated, which this particular coin is. We can see it's got good detail on the horse and the dragon, limited wear. There's little rubs here and there, but you'd expect that from a coin of 1893. The only thing that does concern me about this particular coin, you can't really see hairlines per se, but it does look like it's had a historic rub. Do you remember in the last video we were talking about how the discernible difference between the obverse and the reverse, the reverse always means superior condition-wise? And I'd mentioned that a dealer friend of mine told me it's because they wiped. Now we're talking mainly about currency coins here, so circulated coins, and it was considered disrespectful to have a dirty king or queen's head, so they'd give it a little rub, a little wipe, just to keep it clean out of respect. So beautiful, beautiful coin, extra fine. Moving down a grade, again we're looking at the high points. Excuse me for banging the camera. Here we have a coin in what I consider to be fine condition. There's a lot of wear, but all of the details are fully discernible. For uncirculated or extra fine, again, the sword should be shown protruding from the flanks of the horse, not worn into the flanks, if you can see that. And you can also see the hand details are worn. Yeah. So we're talking fine, and then what we would call fair condition, we can see excessive wear or a lot of wear on the coin. These were well-used coins. And this would be considered fair condition. Right. Let me zoom out here. I hope you enjoyed that. As always, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, tell me what you think. I have up here somewhere, there will be a link to the previous grading number 2 for you to take a look at. Let me know what you think, leave your comments. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Lee's Lad Loves Coins. I've bored you long enough. Hasta luego.